Hello everybody, welcome back to Papa's Saw Shop. I'm Papa. Good to see you today. It is a cold, rainy day out here in the West Coast, and today I am going to go through a duplicate slash clone saw. Now I know I've done a couple of these in the past, but what we're going to do today, I've got right here, I've got a box right here I just opened. Just brand new opened. Started pulling pieces out. I just got the brake handle out of it. And so what I'm going to do with you in this video here is I had a question come in from a viewer on the website. He said, I see you got these duplicate saws. Are they the same saws that I could buy online for like 300 bucks a piece? And I said, absolutely not. These are, no, they're not. But how would you know? So, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what the difference is. We're going to go through this box together. I'm going to try and keep my nose warm because it is frigid out here. All right, let's get to it. All right, so first thing I noticed right out of the box, hypothetically and really realistically, so we got this little guy right here. I unpacked the brake stuff. We got this thing. I don't know. I'm gonna try and get it up here to the camera. This is the one. Well, look at all the play in that thing. This is what. That's crazy, isn't it? So anyway. This is the one that came in the box. All right, so we're gonna throw that out. We're gonna use that. That's not what we do here. What we do here is we do the quality control. I always tell you, when it comes to these box saws like this, quality control is all up to you, and I take that very seriously around here. So what we're gonna do, we got rid of that hunk of junk. We're gonna take this one here. That's a solid steel one, and actually it's an OEM part. So we're going to swap that out for an OEM. So we're just going to put this aside in the name of time and speed here. So the spring looks pretty good. Little metal attachment tab looks pretty good. Sometimes these will come in and I'll notice that they have a little crack in them or something. And I always keep them. I always keep some extra ones sitting around just in case. So I checked this out. Oh, by golly. Look at that. Just notice that. All right, where the heck's the camera at? Right. Oh. There's a crack. Right there. See it? See a little crack on the inside of it? Ah, we got that. So, that's out of here. We'll clean up this OEM part. We'll put that in there. Set that aside so I know to put the OEM parts in it. See where I'm going with this already? Let's see what else we got. All right, we got the handle. Now, I'm going to tell you what, friends and neighbors, when you get one of these stupid kits, you better have a garbage can and a pair of scissors, because they are going to give you more bags than you're ever going to need in your whole doggone life. All right, so we're going to check out the handle. We're going to make sure that little plug right there is on. We're going to take this edge off. Now, what'll happen sometimes is that these holes aren't cleared out. We make sure those are cleaned out, and if not, I'll drill a hole in there, or I'll just use an authentic one. I keep an extra one right back here, just in case. So that looks pretty good. So we'll use that. All right, now with this stuff here, I'm not going to go through every single piece on this thing. I'll just, because I mean, if I went through every throttle linkage and everything, you know, we check the throttle linkages and we make sure they're, you know, they're sturdy and they're not going to break. And they're not already broken. Oh, these guys here. Let's pull these guys out of here. Ooh, I got my finger. All right, I'm trying to do this as quick as I can here, so not too long. All right, so this guy right here, the little chain guard on here. Ooh, jeepers. Wind's blowing something around out there. All right, this guy right here, doesn't really matter whether it's aftermarket or whether it's OEM. That little chain guard's gonna break. So I don't really worry about it. It is what it is. All right, these screws right here, I always bend these things. I try to bend those things, and I beat them on here, make sure that everything stays. I've gotten these doggone things and I put them in the handle like they're supposed to be, and then I go and tighten them up and I snap the damn thing in half. So I've got OEM screws standing by right over there in another case, just in case I need them. So, but these look pretty sturdy, but you got to watch out for those. So we got the dogs. I always make sure these guys, I've had these things crack also. All right, you got all the plastic, the handles, and, triggers and whatnot. Not gonna go through that with you. I mean, it is what it is. We go through them, and if there's one bad, we replace it with OEM. Caps. Oh, jeepers! I'll tell you what, I've talked about these doggone caps before. Now, we check these right out of the box, and I make sure that everything feels solid on there. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be swapping that out with a newer one, with another one. You see how that's starting to separate already? All right. So we're gonna set that back here in the inspection pile, so I know to look at it later. This one's got the same issue, so they might get swapped out as an OEM. All right. So what I got in here? I've got a spark plug labeled SAP. I got a lot of dirty things I could say that SAP could stand for, but actually, garbage. We don't put that in there. You get an NGK plug. I believe that those are the best ones for these saws, and so that's what you get. All right. So you're starting to get the message now. It's not just a basic saw. We make sure you get all good parts in here. Now these oil pumps, these guys here, I always push on these tabs and make sure that they're good. Push on these little oil inlets. I've had those things come off in the saw. And then make sure that the gear turns. All this happens on every single saw. And I think I've told you this before in my other videos, but I touch every single part of these saws. Now, when I tell you that, I mean I'd touch and fondle every damn piece of these saws. I know how wrong that sounds, but I inspect every single part of this saw when it comes through here. So it doesn't get installed unless it meets my qualifications. And here's another empty bag. All right, so there's all your throttle linkages and all that. Again, I'm not going to go through those. If they're broke, we put a new one on there. Chain tensioners. These things are kind of sketchy at best. They're really tough to check, these chain tensioners outside of the saw. But what I do with these is that I'll try to turn these a little bit. I got a little screwdriver here. I'll try to turn these a little bit. If they don't turn at all, or if they just buckle in my hand before I even put it in the saw, well then, I know there's an issue. So this one's already turning, before I even put it in the saw. But we do grease these up quite a bit, and then I put a bar on it, and I make sure this thing actually works. Before, even though you don't get the saw with a bar and chain installed, I still put a bar on it just to make sure it's all going to fit, and everything's going to work right and everything. So that looks good so far. All right, we're going to keep on moving. All right, we got the cover, we got the air filter. Not much to look at in there. It's just air filter. We'll take her out of the bag just because we're there. yeah, I mean, it's an air filter. Of course, you know, once again, if the air filter cover is cracked or the air filter's bad, I put a good one in there. Oh, we got the case. All right, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty now. Oh, geez. Hang on. I'll put this case back here. This is my favorite part right here. All right, so what do we got here, Papa? Oh, look at what we got here. I got a bunch of damn junk. That's what I got. Turn this. Figure out how to use a pair of scissors. Oh, look, I got little silver screws. Look at that. Oh, I got silver screws all over the place. I got a bunch of them here. All right. Well, if you've seen my videos, you know what we do with those screws. Yep. That's the only thing I keep out of there is the bar nut and the bar stud. Everything else, oh, you guessed it. Hang on, here it comes. Garbage. All right, so if you got no screws, Papa, what do you use? Oh, you know what? I just threw that right in a bucket of soak. Anyway, what do you use? Well, let's see what we got here. I use these. Those are the screws that you get right there. Wow. Those are the, let me get those and, oh, where's my other, it doesn't matter. But these are basically, back in the day, when steel used to use really good screws and their screws didn't look like this too, these were the kind of screws that they used. And so I've done a lot of research on it, and if you're gonna buy a saw, I don't give a damn whether it's, you know, whether it's OEM, whether it's duplicate saw, whatever you want to call it. You're gonna buy a saw from me. You're not gonna get this cheap crap. We're not doing all that. All right. So that's my favorite part. I love throwing those things away. All right, let's take this out. All right, so we get down to the case. What do we got here? All right, they got another bag. I wonder if people in China, if they get paid like extra to put bags on there or something. Okay, well, we got the case, and so everything looks pretty good on here. We do I do a very thorough inspection of these things. And now if you order an HP saw, what we do is we take this piece out right here, and then we have a coating that goes all inside this. So when you drop that thing, if you happen to drop this saw, then it doesn't crack as easily. It doesn't break the case as easily. These aren't really known for breaking cases, but anything can happen. So we try to make the HPs a little more durable, but those are more expensive. That's the reason why. All right, so the one thing I look at with these, and I think I've talked to you about this before, is I make sure that this right there, you see this right here where those two come together? A lot of times there's a little bit of a lip right here, and now, I'm going to tell you right now, friends and neighbors, if you order one of these saws, not from me, if you order one, like online or whatever, and I always hate bad-mouthing people, but, some people make it easy. If you order one, there's no quality control, all right? And so there may be a lip on here, and they just slap it all together, and, they probably started, I don't know. But a lot of times, a clone saw will have issues in a very short time because this isn't even the way it should be, and so it develops a vacuum leak in between those two sides. And once you start to get that vacuum leak, you're pretty much done. you know, it just starts tearing up the saw from the inside out. So if that's not even, then I take this little plug out right here, and then I basically just have a flat plane that I run across this thing, and it evens everything all out, and then I make up for it with a little bit thicker gasket if I have to, or you know, whatever. If generally speaking, I really don't have to make up for it too much because there's not a big gap in there. But again, it doesn't take much to, you know, to have some kind of issues. But this looks pretty good. This case doesn't look too bad. Flywheels, oh boy. So the flywheels, these are a keyed flywheel, so I'm not going to take this out of the bag because every time I do, I lose a stupid key. But the keys in this thing, I generally throw the keys away. I just don't like losing them, just because I save all this stuff. And what happens, if I take this out of the bag, that key falls on the floor, and then I see that key down there, and it doesn't say Farmer Tech on the key, and if it did, I couldn't see it anyway because it's teeny tiny. I'd pick it up and put it in the thing with the good keys. So I don't generally take this thing out until I'm ready to use it. And then I take the key out, take the key out of the bag, put it where it goes, and I put the proper one in. But yeah, we generally don't use the same key in there. So there's that. All right, we got more plastics. I'm not going to unwrap that because plastics are plastics. That is what it is. All right. Oh, we got the coil. Now sometimes, and I have seen quite often in these things, you don't get to have a coil. And so it's a doggone thing for you that order duplicate saws from Papa Saw Shop from www.papashop01.com. See what I did there? It's a good thing for you that I carry OEM coils, because a lot of the times either these coils have a crack in them, or they don't look right, or they got some kind of glue all over it, like this one here. So that looks to me like something leaked out of the igniter right there. So we won't be using this coil. And when I hold it upright, you see how that thing's lopsided right here? You see how that, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but one side's higher than the other. So this side right here is higher than that side. And so we won't be using that. That gets an OEM one. All right. So we're just about to wrap this up here. I'm coming up on 20 minutes. My granddaughter says that's about the time I get to do these is 20 minutes. She says anything more than 20 minutes, Papa. People don't like listening to a rambling old man. All right, well, again, here's what it is. All right, so we got, I'm going to open this thing up here. Oh yes, we got another bag, all right. Now, depending on what you're using your saw for and where you're using it, that little guy right there, you may or may not get that on your saw. And what that is, for all those that don't know, it goes right about in here somewhere, and it covers all this up, right there, anyhow. If you're comparing this to a regular 200, and you get it and you say, hey, that doesn't have that, it's because for whatever reason I thought it was important that you see that boot in there, because this will hide that boot. So if our conversations and stuff online or whatnot have led to me to believe that you've been having some vacuum issues, I may or may not put that on there. I always check these damn things. These will get a crack right down there, right at the very top of that thing, and you won't even notice it until you put it on. So every single one of these I get, I rub my finger right there and I try to get my fingernail right inside that where they mold that together. So if my fingernail won't tear it apart, then I figure it's probably good. So that one looks good. All the AV mounts, these are kind of a hit and miss, but I check them all to make sure that they're going to hold up. All right, so rubber hoses, you know, if they're no good, of course we replace them. You know, And I think you see by now, we're almost up on 20 minutes. You see where we're going with this video. This is not just a basic $300 saw you're getting. I refuse to build a crappy saw. It's not going to do it. Now, I may build a saw that it doesn't do what I intended for it to do. I'll give you that. That's happened before. But, checking the bearings here. But I am not going to intentionally send out a saw with crappy parts. Not going to happen. So every single part that comes to this bench to get built gets inspected. Every single one. And we got the carburetor. I check these things here have sometimes they have a problem with this choke. And so sometimes this little butterfly doesn't fit in here very well, and so I'll have to take that butterfly out and then actually put this little metal butterfly right there, that little round piece, and I'll have to put that on the sander and just kind of make this thing a little more round so it fits in there better. So generally, and I tell you that because if you're building one of these, you go, hey, that choke doesn't work. That's probably what it is. That one looks pretty good, so we'll hold on to that. I'm getting there, Half Pint. I'm getting there. I know we're 21 minutes in. I know. Doggone it. I feel like I'm on Jeopardy here. 3 seconds, 3 seconds. All right. Oh, there's the clutch. And here's the cylinder. There's the meat and potatoes. Now, you may or may not get this cylinder and piston. I don't, this one looks pretty good. I don't generally swap these things out with like a Meteor or something like that. But if I find any issues whatsoever in these things, you don't get this one. You either get a highway piston and cylinder, or you get a moly coated, but either way you get a little higher quality piston and cylinder than that if I find anything wrong with it. If not, you know, they'll hold up okay. All right, what do we got? We got the muffler. Very few issues with the mufflers ever. We got the fuel tank. You know, that is what it is. I mean, you put fuel in it, and if it leaks, well, you get an OEM. So we're going to leave that aside there for the sake of time. These guys here, I'm going to take this out real quick here. I'm going to show you this for all of you who don't know any better. So these guys, for the most part, I'm stuck in that thing. Serves me right for being in a hurry. All right, for the most part, the springs generally work pretty good in these things. The thing I don't like is the dogs in them. And the dog is right there. That's that little white thing that, see that, where it jumps out there, and that's what catches the flywheel and turns it. When I put these together, I put a lot of grease in here and stuff, and then that way it helps everything move a lot. But a lot of times what I'll do, if I find any flaw whatsoever in that dog, you just get OEM. Because I take that spring off of there and then check that out and make sure that it's all good before I just slap that thing on. Because it is pretty disappointing to get a saw. Everything else works, and that little piece right there broke the first time you tried to start it. Now you can't start your saw. So, not doing that. All right, well that's pretty much everything in there. I mean, we got the clutch right here. Not a whole lot to say about that, you know. I mean, I've seen these things go out in the short term. Not really too often. They seem to hold up okay. I mean, and I check it out, make sure all the springs are in good shape, you know, give it a good once over. But yeah, I mean, they are what they are. I did see one here recently. I want to mention to you real quick. Well, I'm running out of time. I seen an OEM one come in the other day that this gear had came loose from the drum itself. That's kind of interesting. In all my years, I've never seen that. So, yeah, if you guys have seen that, I mean, feel free to leave that down in the comments down there. I'd love to hear from, you know, if it's something that people have ran into a lot, because I never have. Anyway, I am severely out of time here. I got 25 minutes into this thing. I'm 5 minutes over. So, what I want to, basic thing, what I want to get across to you in this video is that when you order a saw from www.papashop01.com and you order a duplicate saw, again, we don't call them a clone saw around here, because if I was going to use a clone saw, I'd use all this junk stuff, and we don't use that crap. So we put the good stuff in it. So this is a duplicate. So when you order one of our saws, again, www.papashop01.com, again, see what I did there, and you click, you do a search for a duplicate saw, and you look up one of these little MS200 duplicate saws, you can be assured that you're not just getting some $300 hunk of junk that you get from wherever else. And I'm not saying that to talk bad about anybody else. I am saying that as the words from a person who asked me, is this a $300 hunk of junk like I can get anywhere else? That was the question that was brought to me. And my answer is no, it's not a $300 hunk of junk. First of all, it costs a little more than $300 because we put some stuff into it. I buy some extra screws and I get some OEM parts and I do what I got to do to make it what you need. Yeah, if you need a good saw and you don't want to spend an arm and a leg, you know, that's the way to go. If you want to step it up a little bit and you want to get one that's a little more bulletproof, check out the HP series. Other than that, I'm gonna get out of here. I got a saw to put together. So till next time, hey, be careful out there and happy motoring.